decisions, without all of the bureaucracies, without all of the regulation that comes with it, like the stock market, the red
Yep.
tape. I don't get that with crypto. I've got freedom. You've got non-KYC, wallets, exchanges. You can just have peace of mind and freedom that you don't have a bully, some horrible big mafia over your head watching what you're doing. Life is short, and crypto just ticks the boxes for me. It's fun. It's scary. It triggers all the emotions. Stock market's too boring for me. Like, you get a 10% down day, everybody's panicking. Like, you get 50%, 60% crashes in Bitcoin. Like, it's just like, for me, become normal now. I'm like, wow, no, I'm losing like 300-400K today, but that sucks. But maybe I'll make it again next week.
Awesome. Well, Ken, once again, thanks so much for joining the podcast today. As mentioned, I'm going to dive into this introduction and we'll kick things off. On this episode of the Cameron Brown Show, I'm thrilled to welcome Ken Mack, a global entrepreneur, mentor, and pioneer in the art of business acquisition. Through his renowned program, the 888 Club, Ken has empowered countless individuals worldwide, guiding them step by step on how to buy businesses and achieve financial freedom. Beyond his expertise in business acquisitions, Ken is also a seasoned cryptocurrency trader and educator. His crypto fast track program has enabled people to navigate the complexities of cryptocurrency with confidence and success. Known for his globe-trotting lifestyle and collaborations with some of the world's top business magnates, Ken's impact on people's lives is nothing short of transformative. From scaling businesses to revolutionizing financial education, Ken Mack is here to share his insights, experiences, and strategies with us today. So once again, Ken, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I've been very excited to be joining you for a while now, and happy to support the community and give some wisdom.
Absolutely. Well, just to kick this off, we're going to cover a number of different topics today, from business buying to cryptocurrency, current events, etc. But before we dive into the cryptocurrency and the current events, let's really talk about business buying and how you got into that space. So if you could just kind of give us a better understanding of how you got into the realm of business buying to begin with.
It probably started with getting sacked from so many jobs, and a lot of my friends had gone off to university and what we call apprenticeships. So I didn't have any interest in doing that, but I just want to enjoy my life and the freedom. Always wanted to have a business, but didn't know how to start one, like a proper business as such. Had some small businesses when it was my teenage years, but nothing of any significance. Made a bit of money. So yeah, I get sacked from so many jobs, and I thought, okay, I need to get into business. So what's the quickest way to get into business if you don't know anything about business? I thought, well, I need to buy a business. I was renting a room off some guy when I was 20 years of age, and he had a cleaning business. I thought, that's cool. This guy's got some staff. He cleans some businesses, some banks, some supermarkets. I said, I'd love to have that as well. So my whole journey started with he had this window cleaning round that's eventually just kind of fell apart. And he said, well, if you can put the window cleaning business back together by chapping on the doors and restoring it, then you can have it. I thought, that's cool. So that's a good start. So, that went well. I stuck that out for a few months and ended up selling it to my father's window cleaner for a few £1,000s. So that gave me my first lift.
Right.
And then I thought, okay, cool. So I need to buy a proper commercial cleaning or business. So I went through the Yellow Pages. It's a big book back then of thousands of pages, and I found a business that was owned by some woman in Scotland, and I ended up buying it from her, doing a bit of an LBO, no money down deal with some deferred consideration. And she wanted to retire and get out of the business at like 10 staff. It was making a good amount of money. And I just got straight in there, picking up the mop, the hoovers, and taking part in the cleaning duties and supporting the cleaners. And I just become fascinated with the cleaning industry and obsessed. And I started just building this business, finding new clients, and wearing all the different hats, and just loving the fact that I was able to not have to work for somebody that could sack me ever again. So I guess that's where my first big aha moment happened in life, was when I took over this business, and it gave me just enough money to have freedom, right? Financial
Right.
freedom that meant that I could start enjoying my life as a young 20-year-old male and not having to stress about paying my bills. It was just, for me, it didn't, I don't want to use the word didn't make sense, but I felt like I was dreaming. It just didn't feel real that I was able to do this. You could just buy this thing that was bringing you money on day one. And I was able to actually, if I fast forward on a few years, I made an exit at the age of 25, for a substantial amount of money, which I'd grown the business over the years by which was a mix of buying some other small businesses and building the existing business that I had acquired, and then that
So
gave me enough
did
money.
you tack on to the cleaning company at the time, or did you buy other businesses that were kind of outside the realm of cleaning?
Just other cleaning
Okay.
businesses, commercial cleaning businesses, put them all together, and I sold out, and I was 25, and that gave me my first big chunk of money to get out of Scotland because we had a dream of, or a lot of us in Scotland have a dream of living in the sun because it's 300 days of rain, and it's very depressing, right? And every day's depressing in Scotland. So I was able to leave Scotland. It was November 2010 during the winter. I said, I'm out of this place. I can't stand it anymore. I've got enough money. I'm out. So I moved to the south of Spain, and I changed 300 days of rain for 300 days of sun, and that's really when my life started to kick off.
I love it. I love it. What was the mindset shift from you were obviously getting sacked from these jobs, you were not enjoying working for somebody else, to then obviously building your own thing? What was that mindset shift? What had to happen for you personally to get to that next stage, to be able to buy the business and actually grow it properly? Because I'm sure there's lots of lessons being learned in your early 20s, but to get to that point where you actually were able to exit, what did you have to change for yourself?
Well, I was very indoctrinated as a young male that went through the schooling system, and I went to even to college. That didn't work out. I just didn't enjoy it at all. And I was very independent, so I wanted to move out my parents' house at a young age. So I'd moved
Right.
into some guy's house. He was renting bedrooms out, and I thought, this guy's living a life, man. Like he's renting his rooms out. He's getting all of this money. He's got five different people in this house. He's got this cleaning business. It's the dude that gave me the window cleaning business. And then he says something, he goes, oh yeah, if such and such does well, I'm going to buy myself an Audi R8. And I said, how's that even possible? That's crazy. I want to be you. I want to buy that R8. I want to have this business. That was the mindset shift for me. He took me out in his car and he showed me all of the doors where he had these window cleaning contracts. If you want to call it a contract or a customer,
Right.
and he was playing a song in the car at the time. It was that from A Land Down Under, Men at Work. And ever since, like that song has been anchored, it's been ingrained in my head. And every time I hear it, I think of this guy Mike that was renting a room from that gave me his window cleaning business. And that was a mindset shift. This guy had no qualifications, and for me, I had to get my head around this. Like, you're not qualified. You're making so much money. You're going to buy this supercar. You've got this nice house. I'm renting a room from you. I need your life. And I was just always super motivated, like to whether it was in a job, like just to sustain myself,
Right.
or to start a business. I knew that I would always give it everything that I had. And from seeing, from living in a small place with small person mentality syndrome, it opened up my mind, and I thought, wow, if he can do it in this small place, then so can I. And I kind of got myself around one or two different people that were doing very well in the cleaning industry, and I thought, wow, like there are people here that are making a lot of money. There's this dude with this Porsche 911 and Bentley and all of this plant and equipment and this big business in the cleaning industry doing so well. If he can do it, then so can I. And that for me was the mindset shift was seeing other people. I had to see it. I couldn't be told it. I needed to physically see it, touch, smell, and feel it. And I've been hungry ever since. I read that book called The Secret, which is actually here. Believe it or not, this one. So I read that. I get given this 2007 or so 2010, a long time ago, and it's
Right.
still like you. Given this book by it was an ex-girlfriend's father who was a serial entrepreneur from Florida. He was involved in one of the biggest building companies in Florida, and like between the guy I rented a room from and an ex partner's father gave me this book and reading this book, that changed everything for me.
What was it about The Secret? Because I've actually never read it, but I've seen a lot of people share it. What was it about The Secret though that kind of triggered that for you?
It was the law of attraction. If you can believe it, then you can conceive it. What you see in your mind is what you can hold in your hand,
Yep.
and just understanding the power of the mind. I haven't read this book in a long time, right? But you can take it in the wrong way,
Right.
But just the whole manifestation thing, just believe if you believe something, and you believe it hard enough, and you apply yourself with the not just the law of attraction, but the law of action. You
Right.
need to back every uh, thought in your mind with massive action. And if you keep on uh, applying enough action to something, eventually you're going to find the right way to do it. So I've made so many mistakes over the years, but eventually, your luck comes in because you've done it so many ways to find out, okay, there's 99 ways which are not going to work, but then you eventually find this one way that does work. So a lot of what I've done is through trial and error, but also through the mindset shift that I had.
Right.
It's a very good book for mindset. The Secret is fantastic.
People, I've had this conversation with a lot of friends as of late, as it relates to not just manifesting, but taking the action as well. And a lot of people like to talk about manifestation and good energy and good vibes and all this stuff. And I think it's
Yeah.
it's wonderful, but at the end of the day, without the action, nothing truly happens. And
Well,
I
most
found that
people lack strategy
yeah,
and action.
most people lack the strategy and the
Yeah.
action, or they lack the strategy over the action. Is that what you're saying?
They tend to just have this fantasy about manifestation
Yep.
and just thinking and dreaming, but there's no strategy and there's no action. So they're missing these components, and I see that quite often
Right.
in the online networking space, or just in like when you go to these entrepreneurial events, you get very fired up entrepreneurs and this high vibrational frequency, but they have no plan. They've got no strategy, but they've got all these dreams and hopes and visualizations. But like the one that takes a consistent action, regardless of what that action is, obviously not being a busy fool, right? But just applying enough action, researching, getting yourself around the right people who are doing what you want to do and watching what they do and replicating what they do. That's the science of getting rich.
So for somebody that wants to buy a business, they're like, I this is what I want to do. I'm ready to buy a business. I need to prepare myself mentally. Aside from joining the 888 Club, what would you say is their next step? Right? Like, what would you suggest that they do in order to figure out that strategy specifically?
So the best thing to do, you want to buy a business, you know, it's not necessary to go out there and join some networking group or some online course or Triple Eight Club. These are luxuries, right? I didn't start with any of that. Where you want to go is bizbuysell.com. Go and take a look at the open market, see what's out there for sale, or businessesforsale.com. And if you have no idea what kind of business you would like to buy, there's something like 2 or 3 million businesses for sale on the open market in the USA. And if you filter by results, you can segment those who are willing to take seller finance, which are a huge number of the businesses that are for sale on the open market. If we're speaking about the USA as well, you've got a beautiful program called the SBA 7A, Small Business Administration 7A. Just in the last few days, a student of mine got 500,000 paid into his bank account from the SBA. And this happens all the time. Bit of a pain in the ass to deal with, but you've got a beautiful system in the USA where we speak about an LBO where you buy a business with little to no money down. The SBA gives you that tool before having to explore 90% of the other tools that we teach inside the Triple Eight Club. So you can get a 90% LBO just by using, getting the right business that ticks the boxes, that satisfies the lenders through the SBA, the Small Business Administration. So I would start there. Take a look in the open market, break it down by industry, and just think about what kind of businesses are essential. What kind of businesses are niche? The more niche the business, the less likely it's going to be to be replicated. Therefore, the less competition and the more likelihood of the business to sustain itself through hard times. If you go into a recession, which, as we know, is a manufactured event, which is going to happen, is a cyclical thing that happens, through the course of time. So that's exactly where I would start. And if you wanted to take things one step further, and this is what I did, you can write out to. So I'm going to just go back. You
Yeah.
need to acquire data, right? You need to buy data, industry-specific data of businesses that you would like to buy in a specific sector. So let's say you want to find manufacturing companies in the state of New Jersey that are trading between revenue ranges 1 million and 2.5 million. You'll ask the data marketing company to give you the data of these companies with the name of the business owner, the address, the phone number, and the email address. And you can write out to them for the attention of the business owner, strictly private confidential. Have you ever thought about selling your business? And if you have done, I would like to buy your business. Let's speak. Here's my cell phone number right here. And I'm available, 9 to 5, whatever. That's going to create inbound leads for you, and that's going to get you into conversation with a business owner that's probably not put their business on the open market. Therefore, there's no competition.
Right.
So that's one of the mechanisms that we use, which proves itself to be very successful, and that any of the listeners could do as well. In order to get ahead of the game, so that you're not having to deal with business brokers, because it can become very difficult when you're dealing with a business broker when they're asking you for proof of funds, because you can't do that if you haven't raised an SBA loan. Like I said, a bit like the chicken and egg situation,
Yep.
shows proof of funds. Sometimes you need to play the game with them and just say, yeah, yeah, okay, we need to pre-qualify the deal first. No problem, get your proof of funds across, but we need to get the answers to X, Y, Z, and we're going to be funding the business through the SBA. Sometimes you just need to be black and white with them, but also play the game with them. But sometimes you're better to not mention the word LBO because it can put them off.
Yep.
If you mention the SBA, it can put them off as well because it is a bit of a process you need to go through in order to get that funding. But the best place to go is just to go out there, bizbuysell.com, get a feel for what's out there and what makes you excited.
This is as it relates to getting SBA funding specifically. A lot of people think, okay, I'm just going to go straight and get SBA funding. Is there a certain kind of level of words not competency, but is there a certain level of achievement and or money in the bank and or owning a house or doing something in order to receive your SBA 7? Like, because obviously the SBA will require some form of collateral, whether that's the business or your personal home, right? Or some kind of property. So is there a level in which you would suggest that people get to before they start trying to go after certain size businesses? Or are you suggesting that, once you have the desire to go after a business, you just buy the business and go from there?
Yeah, so in terms of security, the SBA are going to want a first lien over the business, especially if the business has got property. So if the business owns, let's say it's a manufacturing company,
Right.
they own premises, so they're going to want to get a first lien over that property. And in terms of the size of the business, it is always better to go out there and buy a small business. Something that's trading between 1 and 2 million US dollar, I would say would be a very good starting point. There's no point getting out there and say, I want to buy a 10 million USD business
Right.
that's this size with 100 staff. You're better to just go in small and get the first deal done. It's not necessary to have a bunch of assets, own your own home with the SBA. Yes, they're going to want some kind of security, but usually that's over the business. Um, and in terms of a down payment, it's usually 10%. So that 10% could be funded by a business partner that you bring on board. They could bring the 10% for you. Depending from lender to lender, they could be a little bit funny if you're bringing investment capital because you want to see skin in the game.
Right.
So if you buy a business at 1 million, right, then that's 100K that you need to put in. But if you bring a partner to the table that's got that money, that's going to be part of the team, and let's say get 49% or 50% of the business, then that's going to satisfy the SBA.
The 1 to 2 million mark obviously is huge, but cash flow is king, right? So at the end of the day, what kind of cash flow would you be suggesting that people kind of try to look out for? I mean, obviously there's plenty of other factors too, and a lot of that they can learn from you and your program. But what kind of cash flow would you suggest that people look for in their kind of first business if they're just getting started?
It's better to have a bit. Let's say you buy a business that's a million US dollar in revenue. And the reason I'm saying 1 million is you don't want to buy yourself a job. Like when you're talking a business 5 or 600K, then you're kind of going into one man band territory. So that's why it's better to focus on businesses as a minimum between the 800 to a million
Right.
dollar mark. Now, these businesses, um, usually should have in the region of 300,000 there or thereabouts worth of EBITDA. So just call it profitability. And the reason that you're going to need this amount is so that you have enough liquidity in the company to service the debt. Because when you go through the SBA, they're going to want to see the kind of debt. They'll have different debt service cover ratios depending from lender to lender, but they want to stress test the business to make sure that the business can comfortably afford to service its debts. Um, especially if you do an LBO, which consists of raising asset finance, short-term cash flow lending,
Right.
or any other types of different loans or invoice financing, you need to have the liquidity in the bank. So whether you do it that way or you go through the SBA, it's going to suck all of that profitability out of the company because what you want to be left with at the end of the day is as close to six figures as possible in the bank account and the profitability. So you want to be walking away with 80 to 100,000 USDs profit after you service all of the debt if you're buying a business that is $1 million worth of revenue. Like there's no sense in you buying a business that does 100K because by the time that you pay off the loan, right, you're left with nothing.
Right. Right. You want to be able to pay yourself too at the end of the day.
Well, that's it. You want to pay yourself. And that's the most important thing, like what Robert Kiyosaki says as well. You want to be able to, the very first person that you should pay in a business should be you. You're the very first person that you should pay. But when you do the LBO, when you buy the business with leverage, the business is going to be very stressed anyway. You're going to have the upfront fees, or not upfront, should I say, the legal fees, which you'll be deferring, which you'll be getting the business to pay for on closing. So in the first 3 to 6 months of you taking over that business, these could be like 10, 20,000 US dollars that you need to pay out. That's a lot of money for a business that you've just done an LBO on. So I would say for the first 6 months, you need to be prepared to not make no money, right? But you can make some money. It could be a couple of thousand USDs per month. But you got to remember you bought this business almost with no money down. And once you pay off that debt, then you're going to have a lot of money on the table, providing that you look after the business, that you care for the business, and maybe if you grow the business as well. And that's one of the things that you should be taking very serious as a new business owner is not to just come in the business and uh, you know hope that the existing clientele is going to be there forever. You want to take over that business and think, how can I add value to the existing offers that we're putting out to clients? How can I find new clients? Who were the old clients we used to work with, and why did they drop off? Could we look at getting back in bed with the new clients? Can we look at reducing costs? Can we look at increasing the prices? Because if the prices haven't been increased in 2 or 3 years, then if you increase the cost by 10% and you're doing a million worth of revenue per year, then that's an immediate 100,000 worth of revenue
Right.
added to the business, with a significant part of that going to be profit, right? If it's a price increase. So I would be, looking at coming into the business and then spending time to look at how I can add the value so that I can extract as much money, make as much money out of that business as I possibly can do as the business owner.
And a lot of that money is made on the back end too, right? You build the company and then you go sell it for two, three, four times what you originally bought it for, right? That is where a
Yeah.
lot of that's made. Is that in regards to building that proper mindset? Do you suggest that people? I mean, I guess it just depends on their situation too, right? Looking for cash flow, or are you looking to for obviously the multiple at the end of the day? But how do you prepare people to get into that situation with the long term mindset of potentially selling this company?
Yes, so you mentioned the multiples. Now, one of the observations that I've made just now is that you shouldn't be paying more than a 1.5x for a business. It is a buyer's market out there just now, so there are more businesses than there are business buyers.
Right.
And anything usually that's sub 500K, anything above 500K is usually mid-market. Anything you'd call anything below 500K, sub 500K would be, you call it, what would you call it, new streets, or just trying to think of the terminology. It's Main Street. So it's a Main Street mom and pop business.
Yeah, I was
That's what
gonna
we
say
call it in
low
the USA.
market, but it's definitely not low market.
Yeah, so sub 500K, you'd be 1x definitely,
Yep.
1 to 1.5x. But when you start trending above 500,000 USDs worth of profit, then you'd be looking at paying a 2 or 3x because that would be classified as a mid-market company.
Right.
Um, but certainly out there buying 1x businesses, there are so many out there. I definitely would be paying any more than a 1x. And you can prep that company over the years. So as you're paying off the debt, work towards getting that EBITDA, the profit of the business up to 500k so that you can achieve that 2 to 3x multiple. And by the time you pay off all the debt, you're going to get a beautiful payment that's going to probably be enough money for you to retire. You can go from start to finish within 4 years. Genuinely, I've done it myself and make enough money to retire and never ever have to work again, ever in your life.
You refer to the 1 to 1.5 multiple. Is that based off EBITDA, SDE? What is that based off of?
Usually in the market, it'd be based off the EBITDA, but I don't like using the EBITDA as a um, as a target formula because with the EBITDA, that's the earnings before interest and tax.
Right.
And if you think about buying low and selling high, if you want to sell a business for the highest possible price, usually the business brokers, they're going to value the business on a multiple of the EBITDA. So if you are dealing with a business owner that's not had any communication with a business broker that you've done a direct outreach to, then you will be able to buy that business usually on a multiple of the free cash flow. So buying low is buying on the multiple of the free cash flow, which is profits after tax. That's the raw profit of the business. Once the business owner has been paid, all of the taxes has been paid. And what that means is that figure is going to be much lower than the earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So that formula that the brokers typically use. So just to recap, to buy low and sell high, you're going to buy on a multiple of the EBITDA if you're going to be buying high or selling high. If you were to be buying low and selling low, then you're going to be buying on a multiple of the free cash flow, so the raw profit of the business. And again, if you sell on a multiple of the free cash flow, then you're going to be selling low. So selling high is EBITDA, buying low is a multiple of the free cash flow.
Love it. You've obviously bought other businesses over the years too. Can you just kind of dive into that a little bit, give a little bit of a breakdown of the other companies you've bought into and maybe sold as well?
Yeah, so we can speak about after we spoke about my retirement at semi-retirement at 25, and you know it's a probably a good moment to go back to because I was sitting on the beach for maybe 3 months and I get really bored. I thought I love entrepreneurship. I'm missing the chase, even although I'm pretty comfortable now financially. So I was in Spain at the time, and I went on to I think the first deal that I did in Spain was buying a vending company, and they had these massage chairs all over the south of Spain, and snooker tables in hotel resorts, and these massage chairs in resorts and shopping centers and all over the place, and then like Ibiza, Mallorca, all of the different islands.
Right.
And the reason that I bought that business is because to me it was like having piggy banks all over the south of Spain because people were putting in coins. It was coin operated. So it's like two euro coins and 1 euro coins. And it got to the stage where it get out of hand. Like it become annoying because I had IKEA bags, these big blue bags,
Bags of coins.
bags of coins. And I had these bags of coins actually for years. And I was going for nights out. Is this little place called Portobanús. They call it the playground for the rich and famous in the south of Spain. And I used to go for a night out with 300 euros worth of coins in my pockets. And I'd be paying my bar bill with all these coins. I'm like, what are you doing with these coins, Ken? I'm like, I've got so many coins from the vending company. Um, but yeah, so that was the first business that I bought. It was fun, right? So I ended up just emptying a lot of the machines myself because obviously it's hard to trust somebody when there's no records or digital records or nothing of it's just difficult to employ somebody in that capacity. So it's kind of like an owner operated business. So I did buy myself a job, but I used to fly to Mallorca once a month and empty all my piggy banks and go for a night out in Palma, Magaluf, and come back home to Marbella in the south of Spain with a suitcase full of money with coins. But I eventually sold out that business because it just become annoying. And I went on to buy some other fun businesses, like I bought a third division football club in Spain. That was a very well-known football club. Um, what else did we buy? The biggest paddle club in the world. That was in Spain as well. 33 indoor courts. Went over to South America, bought the biggest LED manufacturing company with nearly 1,000 employees. It was like 50 million worth of revenues. I was in Paraguay, buying a chemical manufacturing company. And fast forwarding to like 2019, I started getting a lot of recognition online, and people were following me, going like, "Who is this guy? What's he doing?" Like, so I was posting some stuff, and like, and even Dan Pena, seen some of the stuff I was doing, and then he started speaking about me, and you should watch this guy. He hasn't done QLA, and that's his program, and he's out there buying these businesses. And then a lot of people that were following Dan started following me, and then I started mentoring because I was getting asked so many questions about how do you do this, how do you do that.
Right.
So I just started to monetize my knowledge. 20, I think it was Christmas time, 2019, and I built this coaching business, which I turned very quickly into a seven-figure coaching business, which was insane. Just teaching people how to buy businesses, and then that evolved. I did that for like 6 months, one to one, and then I gave that up because it was too much energy and just too much for me. So I
Okay.
thought, you know what? A lot of demand here. So I started taking people into groups. We called it the Business Buying Boot Camp. And then I started to kind of niche down even further into this program that we called the partnership program, where I would partner 50-50 with the students on these business acquisitions, which was cool. So we ended up buying a bunch of businesses over the last few years, with the last acquisition completed 2 months ago, another manufacturing business. And again, all of these businesses have been acquired with no money down, using the LBO methodology, which is not secret sauce. It's just doing things in a certain way.
Right.
And when you about deal structure, about like how do we structure some of these deals? So if I was to speak about the deal that we just did 2 months ago, and how your listeners can figure out how they can structure some of these deals as well themselves out with the SBA. So if there's anybody in the UK, for example, that's listening to this, this was a UK acquisition. The purchase price was about 800 or 900K. We had um, about 10% seller finance on this deal. The interest rate that the seller was about 10%. We had um, asset finance,
Okay.
which was interest in capital. We had some invoice financing, and we had a short-term cash flow loan. So we raised in cash about 600,000 pounds, and then £300,000 of that is a seller finance. So I think it's a little bit more than 10%, but that's what the ratio is. So we ended up buying the business with no money down. The profit of this business is 250. So that's Great British pounds. So that's about $300,000 per year, which is nice. And the revenue is about £1 million. It's about 1.25 million USDs. It's a 30-year-old print manufacturing company, and it's been around, yeah, since 1980, something like that. I'll actually go there tomorrow. I'm going to drive this. It's about 6 hours from here, so I'm going to be passing by.
And this is one
Uh,
of the deals that you did 50-50 with a student. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is one of the business buying bootcamp
Okay.
deals. Just thinking of the breakdown inside my head now.
Yeah.
But we're speaking about how to grow. Like, what do you do with these businesses when you buy them? The very first thing that my student did was he went in and he spoke to the sales manager, and he said, "Give me a list of all the clients that we used to work with, and let's find out why they left the company." And we just managed to sign on one of the biggest clients that we had that we lost. I don't know how long ago, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, as he fell out with the business owner that owned the business before.
Right.
And they were responsible for £300,000 worth of revenue, which is huge. What's that, like 400,000 USDs? And I couldn't tell you how much of that's profit, but I know the gross profit's 60%, so just call it 30. But that's a lot of money, because once we've leveraged the deal, like, we want to make money, like we want to be able to take money out of that company. So that immediately gives us access to more money that me and my student can take out the business.
Love it. You this is obviously I say a smaller deal than what you've done previously. Is it any size deal that you'll work with right now, or you work with deals? Do you try to stay above $1 million typically in revenue?
Hey, the deals that we're working with just now are quite small. There's no particular reason for that,
Okay.
but revenue size, I'm going to speak in pounds just now, but
Yep.
between 1 and 3. I've had some deals at like 10, 11 million,
Yeah.
but I just find the smaller deals a little bit easier to work with, because if I need to bring investor capital in, it's easier to raise 100 or 200K than it is 1 or 2 million. Unless like you're buying into bigger corporations, then it's you can get in the bed with family offices, get a lot of capital, but just things can become complicated then.
Right.
So I'm just sticking with the small business acquisitions just now. So if you think about it, right, the student that I'm working with on this, I just bought this print company with. We're now doing a second company, which we're working on now, and that was sourced direct to vendor through the letter campaign. That's 400,000, £450,000 of profit per year.
Okay.
So between that and the company we just bought, you're talking like 455, £700,000. So you're nearing that $1 million worth of profit per year just between two businesses. So definitely once we buy the third business or get some more clients in these other businesses, he's gone from nothing to now earning about 1 million, 50% of 1 million USDs per year through buying businesses. It's the fast track to freedom success. There's not any other quicker way that
Right.
you can get access to that level of profitability in that short space of time.
So this is something I've come across recently. So just kind of an example scenario, just to give people a better understanding of maybe what they might do in a certain situation. But say you come across a business that is doing a large amount in revenue,
Yeah.
yet they're paying out certain employees, what you would consider key employees, too much money. And the owner currently is also taking way too much money out of the business, therefore showing very little profit at the end of the day. If you see a situation like that, you know you can come in and make very quick changes to adjust. It might change the company culture. It might, shift things a bit aggressively early on. But you can make changes to get it to profitability really quickly. Is that something you would still look at, or is it something you would shy away from just based off of the amount of headaches that might cause or create right off the rip?
So, do you mean when you've got a business that the seller is taking more than the industry's average
Correct.
wage to wind down the profitability of the company?
Correct. He's basically taking all the profitability for himself, and using it for personal purposes, and they're also maybe paying a couple of employees way too much above the industry standard. Where you see us as like a cleaning company, for example, you could come into and
Yeah.
bring in other individuals to do those jobs.
Yeah, so there's not an issue there. Business owners can have multiple reasons for doing this, and it can be a very popular strategy for business owners in a tax jurisdiction that's a little bit more complicated.
Yep.
So, like the way that you'd be approaching that would be simply to speak to the owner and ask him to allocate like how much if you were to replicate your duties within the business, how much would that cost?
Right.
So, whatever that figure is, whatever he's paying himself, you now deduct one from the other, and now you're left with X amount. So
Right.
then you can put that in the profitability category because you now know that it's only going to cost 50,000 US dollar to replicate the duties and not
Yep.
150,000. Now all of a sudden you've got 100,000 worth of profit. Um, so that would be how I'd approach that situation. But when you've got the employees that are getting paid more than they should, yeah, this is a bit of a grey area because again, depending on the jurisdiction that you're in, it could be difficult to reverse if what you're paying them. Not only could it be against the law in some jurisdictions like the UK, depending on how the contract's structured, but
Right.
also their lifestyle is going to be structured around receiving that sum of money. It's a very great area, and
Yeah.
like we have a sales manager in the business that we just bought. When I speak about myself, my student, this print manufacturing company, and we have a sales manager who's getting paid a lot of money, but he's proving his worth in gold because he's always going over and above. He's working from home, so he has it easy. But we came in with the mindset like, this is tough. Maybe we can look at revisiting, taking a look at this employee here is he's
Right.
getting paid a lot of money, but now we're saying to ourselves, we don't like we hope he doesn't leave. Like he's at retirement age now, but we're hoping like he stays for a few years because he's a very valuable asset. So it really depends on a case-to-case basis. I always say to my students that you're not buying the business, you're buying the people, and then the people build the business.
Right.
So it's something you'll need to look at on a case-to-case basis.
Before we jump into cryptocurrency and lifestyle and travel and global perspective and all that stuff, what kind of businesses, right? You've mentioned manufacturing a lot, but what are kind of the top three or the top few um, hottest businesses right now to look at, top industries to look into, so on and so forth.
I would say anything that is essential infrastructure would be hot. HVAC is always a bit of a buzzword. Everybody's trying to buy the HVAC companies.
Yeah.
Healthcare is a hot one because the goal of the system is to keep you sick. So pharmaceuticals, pharmacies, some kind of healthcare is always a hot category to be focusing on. But like for me, I've always gone for the kind of obscure businesses, the super niche businesses, the businesses that people don't really think about.
Right.
So I would say what's hot is anything that's essential goods and services. What would stay away from would be anything that is in the hospitality industry because it's just not worth the hassle at all. It's not worth the
I
hassle.
hear that about restaurants all the time.
They're horrendous. I actually bought a restaurant. What was it, about 4 or 5 weeks ago? It was a no money down deal. I did it myself, with a friend, to help him out.
Right.
So I still beautiful premises, but it's just nothing but a headache. The business had 7 figures worth of capital invested into this big fit out, but I call it the revolving door to hell. I
I
knew I
feel
was getting myself into, but you just want to stay away from
I
hospitality
feel like
completely.
restaurants and bars and well, restaurants,
All of that stuff.
bars, etc. are
Yeah,
great for building relationships and having a place for people to
yeah,
go to though, once you get to that point, but
yeah.
probably not a great starting point.
Definitely not a good starting point.
Yeah.
No.
Got it. On to the crypto side of things. You also run the Fast Track group as well. What got you interested in crypto, and when did you get into crypto? Because I know you've been in the space for a while. You also predicted, I believe, the last top, and that was made pretty public. So when did you get into crypto, and why is it something that you're super involved in now?
I get into crypto because I believe in freedom, and I've always been looking for a way to become my own central bank. And by owning Bitcoin, you can buy Bitcoin and you can lend against it without any problems, without any credit checks, without any bullshit. I got into crypto 2017. Um, so I guess it was a little bit later to the game. I think Bitcoin was like 900 or 1,000, something like that at the time.
It's funny to
Um,
say that that's late to the game.
yeah, it's crazy, man, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like done 100x since then, which is insane. Um, yeah, so I'm pro freedom. I'm a purist capitalist as well, and anybody who's into crypto is a purist capitalist. And what I mean by that is just somebody who wants the complete control of their financial future and freedom and wealth without indecisions, without all of the bureaucracies, without all of the regulation that comes with it, like the stock market, the red
Yeah.
tape. I don't get that with crypto. I've got freedom. You've got non-KYC, wallets, exchanges. You can just have peace of mind and freedom that you don't have a bully, or some horrible big mafia over your head watching what you're doing. Life is short, and crypto just ticks the boxes for me. It's fun, it's scary, it triggers all the emotions. Stock market's too boring for me. Like you get a 10% down day, everybody's panicking. Like we get 50%, 60% crashes in Bitcoin. Like it's just like for me it become normal now. I'm like, wow, I'm losing like 300-400K today, but that sucks. But maybe I'll make it again next week.
It's a roller
Um,
coaster ride.
it's just good fun. There's a lot of emotions, which obviously should be keeping out of the markets, but it's just the thrill, and it's a nice community as well. But there's a lot of immaturity in crypto, which is quite funny. But it's completely gamified as well, and I find that quite fun.
Feel like a lot of people take it way too seriously, which is almost the opposite of what you need to do in crypto.
Yeah,
And I've thought a lot about meme coins as of late too, and obviously memes are super hot across the board, but it's a super saturated space now in that regard. And so watching people launch a meme, rug a meme, and then get into the next one has been absolutely absurd. But those that are sticking around are obviously doing super well. So for somebody who is considering getting into crypto, and I say this because I've been trying to guide certain individuals into getting into cryptocurrency properly over the last 4 or 5 years. And that has been difficult when it is as volatile as it is. So, from you, someone who has been very successful in this space, what would you suggest to somebody who's like, hey, I want to get into cryptocurrency, but I want to make sure I do it properly?
It's tough. There's so many different things that you need to learn because nothing makes sense when you first come into crypto. Nothing.
It's true.
Uh,
It doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, but fart
nah.
coin and butthole coin are absolutely absurd right now. And I'm truly trying to figure out why these things do well. So
Yeah, like fart coins outperformed the S&P 500 completely.
so absurd. What kind of world do we live in? Holy cow.
It's crazy. Um, Obviously on YouTube, right, you can learn a lot, but you got to remember that a lot of these influencers that are out there have got an agenda. I know the agenda because I'm very good friends with the most famous people in crypto, so I know. Socialize with them. Good people. They've got very good analytics. They've got very good market perspective. But there are underlying reasons why they're posting a lot of thumbnails on YouTube with the emotions and the captions to spark an emotion response from you. It's to make you panic to click in the video, to watch, to click the link, so that they get affiliate commissions and like you just got to be careful. I think in fact the best place that you can start is actually right here on my desk. This book. It's called The Study Guide for Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets. It's the very best place to start. And inside this book, it's going to show you all of the different chart patterns that you need to know. Um, like you need to decide, are you going to become a trader? Are you going to become an investor? From my balanced perspective and experience, and being around a lot of very successful people in this industry, the best way to play these markets is to buy the extreme fear and sell extreme greed, but on a longer term time frame. Some of the most successful people that I know that are smashing it, they're only doing 2 or 3 maximum big trades every single year. They're not in and out, in and out, in and out. You can learn to scalp. I do that in the evening sometimes. I can make, 10, 20K in an evening. But there's a lot of risk involved when you're doing that. Sometimes you need to have a big pot of money to do that as well, depending on the strategy. If you're looking for 1 or 2% on 100K,
Yep.
but you got to be careful. It's when you start speaking about leverage, it's very dangerous. But spot buying Bitcoin is in buying extreme fear and selling extreme geek greed, and understanding the cyclical nature of these markets, how they move. Like this year will be the last year of the bull market, and then next year, like the bull market's going to end sometime this year. The markets follow the lunar and the solar cycles, which is bizarre, but they do. Next year is going to be a bear market, and then we'll find a bottom to 2027, and then we'll start trending back up again. I don't believe in super cycles. Yeah, we got the Donald Trump scenario, and all of the narrative, but you got to remember that these markets are completely narrative driven.
Yep.
And the moment that you start hearing, we get it every single bull market when you start hearing, super cycle this, super cycle that, and you start getting all the stupidness. Like eventually, it's just going to go boom, and then we go into the bear market. It's going to happen this year, 100% bear market.
So you mentioned having friends and influencer friends in the space that are creating clickbait on a daily basis, and we see it all the time, and it evokes that emotional response. I don't know how you really want to answer this one, but a lot of people, obviously, a lot of people do it. Do you think it? Do you think it's bad for the space that there's so much of that going on?
No,
I mean, what do you is there a solution for it? Because it is frustrating when you're trying to learn a lot of this stuff and all you
yes,
get is clickbait.
I think it's funny. When you see all the the shocking face pictures and the big captions. Like I can see through it, and it's just funny. But when you it's not hard to understand it. But when you
Yeah.
understand what they're doing, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I don't think it's funny for new people that are coming in and trying to understand and don't understand that it's an emotional place and you need to leave the emotions at the door when you come into cryptos. Like I think I've spent thousands of hours in front of the charts. Like it's half of the screen is my buying businesses, the other half is crypto. But you just gotta separate yourself from these emotions and start learning how to read the charts, understanding how the markets move, um, and just understanding that the technical structure on the charts is a bit like the tide when you've
Right.
got the different time frames. You've got like the tide is going to go out, and then the tide comes back in again, and the tide goes out, and it comes back in again, and eventually one side breaks, either breaks to the downside and cascades down, or it breaks to the upside and cascades up. I think it's definitely a journey. It's not something that you're going to learn overnight. You can definitely get the fundamentals, and that's one of the things that we teach in the Crypto Fast Track. But it's not an overnight thing where you're going to become this master trader. It takes some people 10 years before they get it. Um, I'm not saying it's going to take you 10 years. You can easily get it within 6 months. But it's a journey. You just enjoy it and don't, get tied up with selling your house and taking a big long leverage position on Bitcoin against your house because it's a very easy and fast way to get wrecked.
I appreciate that final point. So don't take out a second loan on the house is what you're saying.
100%.
All right. That's
100%.
great suggestion. Great advice. As it relates to this cycle in particular, I've heard a lot of it's going to end early. It's going to last to the end of the year. Do you want to make a prediction on that front? Do you have kind of an idea, general idea when you think it'll wrap up this bull cycle?
This has been a very difficult bull market so far because most of the people that have been in the altcoin space are getting completely wrecked.
Yeah.
Ethereum hasn't performed as we were expecting. We didn't expect XRP to do anything, and it went berserk. Bitcoin's at 100K, which is insane. We've got the narrative just now where we're coming into a lunar cycle, a lunar year, the year of the snake. They are right here. The year of the snake. It's my gold coin, my lucky gold coin I bought from Dubai airport passing through it just the other day. And usually these are bearish periods for the market. We have a lunar eclipse, I think it is, in March. So some of my community is expecting or expecting to leave the market to be cashing out by March, regardless of what stage the market's at. But on the other hand, right, summer is always a very bearish, sideways, boring time in the markets because everybody's cashing out May and June, April, May, June. I'm going to cash out before the summer, definitely, because summer just sucks for the markets.
Mhm.
I'd expect things to start picking up, and everybody knows this now, so everybody's preparing for this. I think we might get one last push, November, December, and that'll be it. So the everything is depending on whether we get that push up between now and May or the end of, let's just say April,
Got it.
because I don't think anything's going to happen through the summer. And then, it's a very tough one. We'll get all of the indicators and all of the signs in the charts. And once we get confluence and we can see the pi cycle top indicator, we can see the risk analysis indicators that we have in certain different programs that we use to predict, market moves. Yeah, once everything starts lining up, and depending on where we are with the lunar cycle, where we are towards the summer, then I'll make a decision whether I'm going to come out of the market. But if like if Ethereum doesn't do something soon, I'm going to quit crypto because
Well,
like
well, trust me, I've been following you and plenty of others who are just planning on Ethereum doing something. I was one of those guys that held XRP for 5 years, in hopes that it would do well finally. And so thankfully, I was able to make a little bit of profit there. But at the end of the day, I was like, well, hopefully Ethereum does well, so my altcoins in Ethereum can do well. But this is not moving like we expected it to at all.
Ethereum is the lowest risk to reward play in the market right now. And historically, post-halving years, January, February, March, are the most bullish periods for Ethereum. The Trump administration or his connections with whatever it is, his crypto company,
Right.
they've been buying Ethereum, like over 100 million worth of Ethereum. Um, but I would say that it's literally the lowest risk to reward, but the highest reward ratio, low risk, high reward ratio in crypto right now is Ethereum because it is hanging by a ball here. It's hanging by a thread just now, right? Hovering around 3,100 as we speak today. Let's have
Right.
a look. But yeah, I've got a lot of chips on the table with Ethereum, and I'd be very shocked if Ethereum is not at 4K by this time next month.
Love to hear that. I think we all need you.
Um,
We
in
we're
terms
all
of
hoping for it.
Yeah, when you mentioned XRP as well, the thing about XRP is worth noting is the community don't sell, right? They hold. But also when you look at history, history shows these very violent drops to the downside. Um, so we've got these violent drops to the downside, which it could be for many different reasons. It could be the escrow wallets with the owner of XRP, the owners dumping it. I think they were dumping into the market,
Right.
and then we've got the XRP army with this crazy conviction, and they just don't sell. So I think the XRP could have this last burst to the upside, but also like it's a super high risk asset to hold. Like that's pumped massively. Ethereum has done nothing. So it's literally the best play in the market right now, hands down, 100%.
We'll clip that for sure, so people can get some serious value from that particular part of the podcast. Because I 100% agree with you. Just waiting for it to do its thing at the end of the day. Uh,
So it's just a waiting game. We just need to wait. Look what happened with XRP. Everybody was waiting. Everybody was patient. Everybody had the conviction. And then one day it just melted faces all over the world. And we're hoping that
absolutely
Ethereum does the
absurd.
same thing.
How do you feel about the Trump and Melania meme coins? And as an American, it was elections aside, past the elections, it's been a little bit interesting and I say slightly frustrating watching the Trump administration come in and be such a huge supporter of crypto and then to launch a meme coin and it to obviously rug, right? Pretty much rug. Melania's just rug pulled at the end of the day. And so you see this happening and you're kind of like, how should I feel about this? So,
Okay, so the world is going fucking mad, first of all, because I'm sitting there and like, Jesus Christ, I'm logging Trump and I'm shorting Milena. And this guy is becoming president. And I'm shorting this guy, but I said I'm logging this dude that's becoming president. I'm shorting his wife. This is bizarre. So I thought, this is insane. This is crazy. I made some money off of it, but yeah, you could say that Melania it looks a bit like a rug pull, but these exchanges are going to want to support those tokens. So I think that they will be listed. They ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Um, I think it's a good sign, right? It's a bit of fun. It's a gamble.
yeah.
It's a good sign that he launched these tokens because that, even although he hadn't announced a Bitcoin strategic reserve, that's demonstrating that he's crypto friendly. We wouldn't see the Prime Minister of the UK do this. So this is a very good sign. And the reason that he's done it, and a lot of people are not thinking about this, the reason he's done that is because of the legislation around him launching a president can't launch a meme coin after he's been sworn into office, because then he would be seen to be capitalizing off of his presidency. So he's done it strategically before he gets sworn into office because he's bypassed all of these regulations. And so it was a very clever move, but he sent a signal to the crypto space to say, "Hey, I'm here for a bit of fun, here for here for to show you that I mean business with crypto." And everybody needs to understand as well that these meme coins are a gamble, right? This is not something that that they're Ponzi schemes, is what it is. It's a Ponzi. You're literally front running the next person who puts money into that coin, and you're just kind of coming in there as early as possible with a conviction and belief that it's going to go somewhere. I don't think Trump's going anywhere anytime soon. I'm kind of waiting for it to kind of bottom out around the $20 mark where I've got buy orders. I've got buy orders of Milena down at $2. If they trigger the trigger, but you could say the project looks pretty dead now, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will certainly see what happens. But it is, to your point though, very strategic, but also goes to show its support for the community, which is nice to see. It's just at the end of the day, the fact that we know that they're Ponzi's at the end of the day is a little bit difficult to
Yeah.
swallow as an American when you know that this is your president, and
Yeah.
not to not show support or to show support, but it's just at the end of the day, it was kind of difficult to digest at the end of the day.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre situation.
So
But also you've got Elon Musk, which is his right hand man, and who's a huge supporter of Dogecoin. But like you could also say that the US dollar is the biggest Ponzi that the world has ever seen,
right.
which it is. It's the biggest shitcoin of them all. When they printed monumental amount of US dollars in the last 4 years. When you look at the money supply, the M1 and the M2. So
It's now what 40% over the last 3 years is that's in
some,
circulation,
something
something like
like
that.
that's
Yeah,
bonkers. So you could say that the Millennia coin was a little bit more aggressive than the US dollar in terms of Ponzi status.
yeah, just a little.
Uh, but I would certainly be very careful if any of the listeners out there are planning, selling an organ to buy these meme coins and to, you know, treat them as a little bit of fun. And the way that I like to look at Bitcoin is that's your savings account.
Right.
At the end of the day, look at Bitcoin as your long-term security savings account, and nobody has ever lost any money holding Bitcoin long-term. Nobody.
Where would you store your Bitcoin? Cold storage wise, what is your go-to cold storage?
Go-to cold storage for on the go. I typically use that, which is a SafePal.
Okay.
It's got a little screen on it,
All right.
a little camera on the back, cheap and cheerful. That was like 50 USDs. So that's just handy. Comes with an app, easy for coming in and out. I use Ledger sometimes, and then I see all these security scares, and I take the money back out of them again. Trezor is good, pain in the ass though, but it's for long-term holding and security, I use Trezor. But also Engrave is a very popular option. Not endorsing any of them at all, but I have used SafePal this here for years, and
Okay.
it's yeah, it does a job.
Easy,
It's good.
easy in and out though with SafePal.
Easy in and out, it's fast, little screen on it as well. Yeah, like it. I don't even know where I've seen it, maybe somewhere online, but Trezor definitely for the long-term security. They've not seen any FUDs or any security concerns or issues, but Ledger is very questionable.
Yeah, Ledger has me being. I've become more of a skeptic as of late. I've helped
Yeah.
a number of individuals in my life get set up on ledgers, and now I'm thinking
Hmm.
about suggesting something else. But I guess SafePal would be a good suggestion. But is SafePal
Yeah.
just Bitcoin or altcoins as well?
Everything,
Okay, great,
everything. Yeah.
love it.
But like just since I've got this on my desk, in terms of where your money is safest,
Right.
right? Your money is safest in something like this. That is a 1 kilogram bar of silver. It's a cast bar. I've got that sitting on my desk here. I've got too much silver, but I bought some silver off of my friend in Dubai, and he insisted that I buy some silver off him as well. But in silver, and it's worth noting that the price of silver was higher in January 1980, up at $50 per ounce, than it is now at $30 per ounce. And also here, that has been one of my safest investments I've ever made in my life. I've actually lost nothing on because you're not tempted to put this onto an exchange because you can't.
Right.
You cannot put this on an exchange and just sell it. You need to make an effort to send it to a gold and metal dealer and get them to transact in that way. Ancient money, 5,000 years. This is a 1 ounce Year of the Snake gold coin that I'm holding in my hand just now. And that is sound money. This is sound money. which takes time, effort, energy, and resources to make, and you cannot print an ounce of gold. You cannot go to the printer.
Where are you buying your gold and silver from typically? You said friends in Dubai and online, but lots of different brokers or sellers of gold. But where do you go to typically?
Yeah, usually in Dubai, I'll
Okay.
buy gold and silver because I've been living there for years. In the UK, there's some fantastic places as well to buy gold and silver. But I think the most important thing is just do a Google search and take a look for, somebody in your local area and just develop and build that relationship with them. Because I've been buying for years and I've got a personal relationship with, now a friend in Dubai. And
Right.
yeah, I get good prices, but based on my relationship, the quantity. And he says to me, Ken, nobody buys like you buy, man. This is crazy. He says a few others out there that buy the big fuck off quantities,
Yep.
but I've just been buying consistently. I know what I'm holding. It's ancient money. It's sound money. It's not a Ponzi. Um, yeah, I can make more money buying Bitcoin, but I don't want to because I'm very impulsive, and I'm sure there's other listeners out there who've got my problem, and I don't want to just be tempted to liquidate my Bitcoin and then throw it into some other crazy crypto to potentially lose it. Um,
It's all about
that
balance to a certain degree.
yeah, it's there is a boundary between this ounce of gold I'm holding in my hand and being able to liquidate this into cash. And then I can't put that cash into crypto because it's very difficult to get money from the bank account in the UK, for example, where I am now, into crypto. So there is a big curtain between this kind of wealth and crypto wealth, and I like to keep them very, very separate.
Understood. Um, I appreciate all of that insight, information on crypto and buying businesses. The other kind of third angle here is travel, and getting around the world and traveling properly. And I've seen over the years too that you'll obtain citizenship in different countries. You'll have a location in different countries. You'll have friends, relationships all over the place. In talking to that though specifically. Where would you suggest that people, if they were to get dual citizenship anywhere, where would you suggest that they try to find citizenship and or a home in another country?
Yeah, so
If they're an American, I guess is a good starting point. But
okay. So I would say that there's two ways of going down this path. You've got the first way, um, which is going to involve a bit of money. The most cost effective citizenship to go for and get that freedom as a US citizen is going to be St. Kitts and Nevis or St. Lucia. It's going to cost. It used to be like 150K, but now it's about 250K. But that would allow you to get a new passport, and if you wanted to leave the USA, so that you don't have that global taxation, then you could renounce, which is very difficult, your US citizenship. If you want to build up a portfolio of passports, and you want to do things like I've always been looking at ways to do things and acquire things with little to no money down. Uh, one of the uh, one of the solutions we're looking at just now inside a Mac Club, Triple Eight Club, is Armenia. I've got connections in the country of Armenia, which is not part of the Common Reporting Standards, which is your equivalent of FATCA,
right,
right? So there you get privacy, and I can get permanent residency through company and corporation, or anybody can. Um, it's about 4 or 5 thousand US dollar, and you can get a passport in Armenia within 3 years without having to visit the country after holding PR for 3 years. And that's all it's going to cost you. So that would be probably number one. But it's gonna be a bit of an adventure, right? You're gonna have to fly to Warsaw, or you're gonna have to fly, and then you can get a direct flight from Warsaw to I can't remember the name of the capital, but the capital of Armenia. Or if you're feeling adventurous, you can fly to Istanbul in Turkey, and then you can catch a flight to Tbilisi in Georgia, which is a beautiful country.
yep,
Spend a day there, go and enjoy some khachapuri or achapuri, you call it, Kinkali, some nice medium sweet wine, and then get on a bus. The bus journey is going to take you approximately 4 hours, 300 kilometers down south, downside the border of Azerbaijan. And it's going to be the most chaotic, crazy, insane, intense journey of your life. It's just bonkers in the road system there. And then you'll be able to go there once you get your PR and get your bank account opened up. Paraguay also is very easy for getting the PR, getting residency in Paraguay. That's a nice country, nice option.
Okay.
Um, but I would say that these are probably the best options just now. Like you get very expensive options. Malta could cost you like €1 million to get a passport
And I say
there.
like for like tax purposes though, if somebody were traveling around and Dubai obviously had the well has great tax benefits. Well, did
Yeah,
I think they've changed the rules slightly recently. Cyprus also has great tax benefits as well.
Cyprus. Yeah.
But would you say Cyprus is better than Dubai now with the recent changes in the tax laws?
Du- Dubai is still better than Cyprus. There are workarounds with the Dubai tax system,
Okay.
uh, which once you get your head around, it's very simple. There's a lot of bureaucracy in Cyprus. We have a head office in Nicosia for our crypto company, Acquirify. That Cyprus is nice, but it comes with its complications.
Which are what exactly? Well,
You've
a
got all
few.
of the you've got the bureaucracy over there,
Yep.
uh, the ease of doing things when it comes to residency and setting up a company
Right.
can be get a bit of a headache, but
Got it.
it's absolutely possible. And you're very close to Israel as well, and then you've got the I think you're 30 minutes across the water from Israel, so you've potentially got some of that coming in as well.
Right.
Some tension.
Absolutely. Well, Ken, I've taken up about an hour and a half of your time, and I really appreciate you hopping on the show today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add just to leave people with? I'll obviously drop your links below for people to click on and follow you. But what would you like to leave the people with today in regards to crypto, business buying, travel, all the above?
Yes, I would like to invite any listener that wants to learn how to buy businesses to check out some free training. Myself and my ex-business boot camp student Paul, we put together this nice training program, which is absolutely free of charge. So what to do is go to my Instagram page, Ken Mack, and I think if you look at the links on my bio, there is a thing called Join AAA Club. So click on that and just watch the video. Go on the free training, go and enjoy, get yourself on bizbuysell.com, see what the opportunities are that are out there. Be careful when you are trying to educate yourself with YouTubers. There are a lot of good content and videos out there. Just try and stay away from the ones that are pushing links. Um, Now and again, I do run the Crypto Fast Chat program. You can take a look and see. You can check that out at kenmac.com/fast chat. But failing that, we get a free of charge crypto communities with 1.5 thousand people in that. It's called the Emergency Market Update channel. Your best bit is just to go in there, and that's going to help you, genuinely help you without any. There's no trying to sell or share links or nothing in there at all. Like, we have this fast chat program. We've only done three of them in the space of a year, but you can use that as a guide and a balanced, strategic, and sensible analysis of the markets to help you make up your own judgment and decisions of what you are going to be doing in the market. So I do invite you to come and join us inside the Emergency Market Update channel as well, if you're into crypto.
Well, Ken, thank you again for your time. Thanks for dropping all the knowledge, value, insights, perspective, experience today. Been a pleasure once again getting to know you better too, and I've been following you over the years. So this has been a pleasure and an honor, and look forward to staying connected moving forward.
My pleasure. Thank you very, very much for having me on the show. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope that's been of some value to the listeners.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.